Thragg might be the strongest character in all of Invincible. He's the leader of the Viltrumite Empire, and he's pretty much built for battle. But even he isn't unstoppable. Across the comics and the show, there are a few characters who could kill him. Today, we're looking at every single one, starting with the most surprising. Alan the Alien. An obvious choice for a hidden reason. Alan the Alien might not be much to look at first, but he's got a secret ability which gives him a massive advantage. The power to get exponentially stronger with each near-death experience he survives. Before his first fight against the Viltrumites, Alan was actually pretty low on the level of power. After he survives the encounter, he is easily twice his previous size and far stronger to boot. He goes from being unable to even stand against a Viltrumite to being able to take on several at once, with help that is, after a single survived encounter. With this ability, what is to stop Alan from spamming it in a controlled environment? He could survive fight after fight and gain ridiculous amounts of strength quite quickly and easily. We do not know if there is an upper limit to this ability, but due to events late in the comics, we can make an educated guess that if there is, it is far beyond what Alan is capable of now. After surviving an explosion on Telescria, Alan's regenerative factor kicks in yet again, and we see him get even more powerful, now standing on par with even the most elite Viltrumite warriors. His power alone is not his only weapon. Alan eventually comes into power as the leader of the Coalition of Planets. He turns out to be a pretty good leader, but he doesn't shy away from some seriously evil war tactics. Much like Cecil, Alan is prepared to get his hands dirty if it means bringing an end to the Viltrumite Empire. With the backing of multiple alien races, his incredible power, and some ability spamming, Alan would easily be able to kill Thragg, much like the next person on our list, who could win most fights if they used their powers well. Adam Eve. Much like Alan, Eve makes the list due to a specific ability. Rather, a specific set of abilities. Eve is shown to have the ability to manipulate matter itself. On paper, this alone is an absolutely ridiculous power to have. While limited to non-living beings outside of certain situations, she possesses the ability to completely reshape any kind of matter into any other kind of matter, essentially cost-free. Although it does seem to wear her down, this would mean that with a little bit of ingenuity and some ruthlessness, she could do anything. We get a tiny glimpse of this in her fight with Conquest, shifting the air molecules around him to be so dense that Conquest cannot move.
What?
I increased the density of the air.
Short-lived as it is, this impressive display is just a tiny example of how overpowered Eve could be. She has also grown exponentially since season 1, struggling against laughable villains such as Doc Seismic at first, to be able to go head-to-head with Conquest himself for a short time in just the span of a year or two. If Eve utilized this power to its full extent, and maybe had a little prep time, she could almost definitely go up against Thragg. A few examples could be hurling some sand at him and turning the sand into deadly uranium or plutonium, splitting an atom right in Thragg's face, nuclear detonation style, just to name a few small examples before we get to the real power hidden up her sleeve. When put under immense physical or mental duress, the limiter on Eve's ability breaks, meaning in short, the rule about her only being able to manipulate non-living matter goes out the window entirely. This would mean that Thragg wouldn't stand a chance. In the Adam Eve special, she mentions that she could make the villains who killed her family into entirely new people, completely reshape them if she wanted. She settles for rewriting their brain to forget her entirely. But this display shows us that if her limiters broke during a fight with Thragg, she could just wish him away.
I am Samantha Eve Wilkins, and I defy you to even remember who I am.
Poof and gone, turned into dust, or a solid gold statue, even a tree. Hell, if she wanted, she could leave his personality as is and rewrite him into being a skinny emo kid with no powers at all. The ultimate insult for the ultimate Viltrumite. Unlike the previous two entries, the next contestant needs no special awakenings, no tricks or prep time, just raw, undiluted strength and the love of the fight. Battle Beast. The humanoid lion Goliath himself. Battle Beast needs no power-ups, no secret plan, no hidden weapon. Because even if he had them, he would probably refuse to use them. One of the only people on this list who poses a direct threat to Thragg without any shenanigans. In the comic, we actually see Battle Beast and Thragg go head to head. Thragg is mortally wounded by a sneak attack from Battle Beast's partner. Instead of taking the advantage and ending Thragg then and there, Battle Beast equally wounds himself in almost the same manner to level the playing field and make it a fully fair fight. Had he taken that opportunity, it would have been the end of Thragg without a doubt. Instead, they duke it out across the planet for 3 full days, the fight ending with Thragg so gravely injured he needs life-saving medical intervention. Battle Beast was such a furious foe that the battle honestly could have gone either way. Thragg was actually so impressed by his monstrous prowess that he wore Battle Beast's fur for some time, showing respect in a weirdly dour way. Speaking of Battle Beast's advantage, I of course have to bring up what exactly gave him the edge in that fight. The Ragnar. While not a singular character or combatant, the Ragnar absolutely qualifies for this list. A savage, non-sapient species of red alien beasts. Due to the intense gravity and hostile nature of their planet, they evolved to be incredibly strong. So strong, in fact, that when Nolan first discovers them, they almost immediately kill him. They do kill his partner instantly, ripping her head clean off in a single bite. Nolan attempts to escape, but the Ragnars leap up and pull him back towards the surface. Nolan was scared that they would be his end. Fortunately, he manages to escape, although it's unclear how. Side note, want to know how Conquest lost his arm and eye permanently? You guessed it, Ragnars. The Viltrumites, i.e. Thragg, recognized the threat that the Ragnars posed to their race, and placed a large solar disk in front of their sun, freezing the planet and them in the process. Later on in the comic, Nolan and Alan return to the Ragnar planet in order to capture some to use as weapons. This goes appallingly as they accidentally destroy the sun disk completely, leading to the Ragnar thawing out of the ice very quickly and again almost immediately overwhelming the two. They are unable to capture even one and barely escape with their lives. Now, getting back to the fight between Thragg and Battle Beast, the secret weapon unleashed upon Thragg in their fight is none other than the Ragnar. They overwhelm and wound Thragg very quickly, and without the help of Battle Beast and the Thraxans, things might not have ended up well for Thragg. Maybe the only beings in the universe that Thragg actually fears. Next up might be a bit of a controversial take for some. Darkwing II. That's right, Darkwing. Essentially just a normal human in a costume. I know what you're thinking, there's no way he could take down Thragg, right? Well, I think that Thragg's weakness here lies in his hubris, and Darkwing has a deadly secret. Thragg would see Darkwing as such a non-threat that he would likely ignore him at first. Whether it be another foe or a team against Thragg, Darkwing could use his perceived weakness to his advantage. All Darkwing has to do is touch him. If he can touch Thragg, the fight is over, because Darkwing can open a portal to the Shadowverse, a pocket dimension filled with creatures of nightmares and nothingness. With no way back, Thragg would be defeated. It might take some time for him to actually die, but yes, Darkwing II could indeed kill Thragg. Alright, let us put the pitchforks away as we get back to some more serious threats. In sticking with the portal theme, it's Angstrom Levy. Much the same as our previous entry in terms of physical power, he is completely outmatched, laughably so. His power rests in his access to other dimensions. Except, he doesn't have to touch Thragg. In fact, he doesn't even have to be in the same dimension as Thragg, he just needs to know where he is and zap. Think Thragg can just dodge the portals, multiple mortals from multiple angles? Thragg can just stop, right? We've seen Angstrom move the portals around before. Thragg's gotta sleep, gotta eat, gotta use the men's room. All moments of vulnerability that Angstrom could snatch up and go for the kill. But wait, it doesn't end there. Angstrom isn't some one-trick pony. While exiling Thragg in another desolate universe is a rather quick and easy fix, it is not the only trick Angstrom could pull. Infinite universes, infinite possibilities. Army of Thragg variants who are good? How about a universe where most other species are as strong as Viltrumites? Hell, how about a dimension where the particles sap Viltrumite strength? Just to name a couple, I'm sure more inventive viewers could come up with even more wacky ways to off Thragg via multi-dimensional shenanigans. Alright, enough with the hot takes. Things kick into a higher gear as we come to the next on our list. Someone who thankfully doesn't need portals. Robot, aka Rex. No, not Robot in the show currently. I doubt he'd do more against Thragg than ending up as some nice crimson wall decor. No, I'm talking about Rex as he stands towards the very end of the Invincible comics. First, we should cover just a couple of things. Rex, towards the end of the comics, is robot, and he's seen and done some things. See, while Rex might look the same, he's actually been in another dimension for the last 700 years. That's right, he and Amanda, Monster Girl, were trapped in the Flaxen dimension for over 700 years. Due to some timey-wimey stuff, they only aged about 12 Earth years. In that time, Rex, aka Rudy, became the ruler of that dimension. Seeing countless conflicts and ruling an entire planet means Rex has gained a ton of experience and wear and tear. Now, a more ruthless man, one with a goal. Starting in issue 111 through 113, he stages a vicious and brutal coup to take over Earth. He murders most of the Earth's superheroes. With a huge new technological upgrade to his drones, they even now stand up to Viltrumites. He goes on a killing spree to seize control of Earth and is incredibly successful. Not a single hero is able to stand up to the new and improved robot. He absolutely decimates all of them who he even perceives as a threat. He even equips the new drones with the Viltrumite nullification frequency, making him now a deadly threat to even any Viltrumite who might come into his path. We see this when Mark takes the fight to him directly. Robot states that Mark hasn't even beaten one of his drones and that he could have half an army there in moments. Mark, hopelessly outgunned, is forced to leave Earth, and Rudy takes over as the leader of Earth. Rex even helps out in the penultimate battle, where one of his drones is able to withstand the temperature of the sun. Given his tactical brilliance, cunning, and ruthlessness, Rex has more than just fancy tech up his sleeve. He is willing to manipulate and coerce, take hostages, and force people against each other if need be. With 700 years of experience and knowledge, and the remainder of the entire Earth's superhero forces at his control, not to mention the seriously upgraded drones, given time, I know that Rex could come up with a way to beat Thragg. Maybe not through sheer force or even overwhelming him, but maybe through some ingenious plan. Developing portal tech doesn't seem like too much of a stretch, does it? Or perhaps utilizing the Ragnar or another deadly threat to Viltrumites, such as the Scourge virus. Less of a character or a person that could defeat Thragg, but a weapon. One that, in the hands of just about anyone, would definitely kill Thragg. So the title on the list goes to the weapon itself rather than any particular user. Originally created by Thetis and the Coalition of Planets as the ultimate bioweapon against the Viltrumites, it ravaged the Viltrumite population, stating to have killed 99.99% of the entire Viltrumite race. Only those with some sort of immunity survived, even if it depowered them for some time. It is the sole reason that there are only 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites remaining in the entire universe. Just about anyone with this weapon in its later upgraded form could wipe out the remaining Viltrumites. A seriously deadly weapon that even poses a threat to humans as well, given their genetic similarity to Viltrumites. Lastly, we move away from weapons and tactics one final time to give man himself his due. The one person in the Invincible universe who could take Thragg head on and without any question win. It's Invincible. I don't think there was ever any question as to whether he would appear on the list. In the show, Mark isn't currently that strong. In fact, Thragg would likely gently smoosh him into the dirt with his thumb, but in the comics, that is very much not the case. By the time the penultimate battle takes place between Mark and Thragg, Mark has grown so much in terms of strength that he finally lives up to his hero name. He's taken part in multiple apocalyptic-sized battles, killed Conquest twice, loved and lost, even gone through some serious growth emotionally. Mark, at his point in the comics, is every bit Thragg's equal and rival. The two trade blows on the sun, their skin horrifically melting off of them as they do so. Mark beats Thragg with a little assistance, but he beats him, finally putting an end to Thragg and his tyranny. But it doesn't end there. Mark goes on to become Emperor of the Viltrumites and lives for a very long time. His strength is increasing by just absolutely ludicrous amounts as he does so. By the very end of the comics, Mark has lived for over 500 years and is so laughably strong that if he were to somehow go back in time to fight Thragg again, it would look much more like Invincible's first fight against Omni-Man, with Mark being Omni-Man and Thragg being Mark. It wouldn't even be a competition at that point, more of a mercy killing. People tend to forget that Mark beat a 1,000-year-old incredibly powerful demigod at the ripe old age of about 30. In Viltrumite years, Mark is still less than an adolescent at that point, barely having lived even a blip of his entire lifespan. It wasn't just Thragg that Mark beat either, it was hundreds, if not thousands, of the Thraxan Viltrumite brood. So it is without question that Invincible could kill Grand Regent Thragg. But all this leaves us with another question: who could kill Invincible? Click the video on the screen to find out.